So let's go. Honeybees are social insects. They are social insects that live in large communities, in hives. Where do we find the termites? Antihills or termitarium, in singular, termitaria in plural. In plural. So today we want to look at the honeybees and their own adaptation as well. Behavioral adaptation. I said the honeybees are social insects that lives in large communities, that is in hives, that is made up of chambers. Hives that is made up of chambers. First of each chamber is called cells. Each chamber of the hives of the honeybees is being called cells. Honeybees consist of 3 castes. Just like we saw the termites, they consist of how many castes? Termites, they consist of how many castes? Namely, I did not hear you well. They consist of 3 castes, and they are the queen, that's 3 castes: the queen, the drones, and the workers. So let's look at the queen. The queen, their features. The queen, they have wings. They are fertile. They have wings. They are fertile. They are attended to by the workers. They are attended to by the workers, which means the workers cares and takes care of them. They are bigger than the workers. They are bigger than the workers. They are fed with royal jelly. They are fed with royal jelly. Do you notice a little bit difference between the queen of the honeybees and the queen of the termites? What are the differences? The differences. The queen of the termites. Yes, marvelous. Okay, they don't have wings. What else? They don't have big abdomen, that's okay. What are the similarities? They are both queens. What else? Huh? They are both attended to or taken care of by the workers. They care for them so much, they don't do much. The only major difference is that they have wings. Okay? Workers of honeybees. They are smaller than the queen and the drone. They are smaller than the queen and the drone. They are sterile female. They are sterile. They are sterile female. They possess eyes and sting, and they sting. They possess eyes and they sting, S-T-I-N-G. Their mouth parts are modified for collecting nectar. Their mouth parts are modified for collecting nectar. What are nectar? The juice found where? Okay. Their mouth parts are modified for collecting nectar and for building hives. Their mouth parts are modified for collecting nectar and as well for building hives. Next point, their legs are modified for collecting pollen grains. Their legs are modified for collecting pollen grains from flowers. Functions of the worker bees. What's the function of the queen? Thank you. To lay eggs. Functions of the worker bees. The functions of the worker bees changes with age. The functions of the worker bees changes with age. So there are certain age that they'll find themselves, they will not be able to carry out the other functions when they are younger or when they are smaller. So the functions of the worker bees changes with age. For instance, the younger worker bees perform household chores. That is cleaning the hives. The function of the younger bees is to clean or to perform household chores like cleaning the cell. Like cleaning the cells, while the adult worker bees forage for food outside. Forages. Forage for food outside. That is, they go for food. They go to hunt for food for the others, especially for the queen. Other functions of the worker bees include they feed older larvae with honey. They feed the older larvae with honey. They clean the nest. That's their hives. They clean the nest. Another point, they ventilate the hives. The hives, sorry. They ventilate. You're lost. Where? What? Holds or carries that perform the household chores. That is, the younger ones perform the household chores. The adult will forage for food for the hives. That is, they go out to hunt for the food. That's the older or the adult workers. Then I said other functions of the workers include one, they feed older larvae. That is the older larvae of the bees with honey. Number two, they clean the nest. Number three, they ventilate the hives. The next one, they secrete wax and build the hives with it. They secrete wax, W-A-X. W-A-X. They secrete wax and build the hives with it. Number next, wax. Worker locates food source. It performs special dance called tail wagging, which indicates to the other workers the direction and the distance of the food source. You can see major functions and major work in the hives is being carried out by the workers. So let's look at the drone. The drones. The drones is just like the king in the termite kingdom. So in the hives we'll have the drones. They are the winged male. They are the winged male. They have abdomen. They have abdomen that is shorter than that of the female. That is the queen. We said their abdomen is shorter than that of the queen. Any questions so far? That is all about adaptation for survival in animals. Any questions so far? Yes?
Yes, ma'am. I want to ask that for the honeybees, are the workers only female like this?
Sterile females, yes. Sterile females. And these sterile females and the sterile male in most of these sets are produced out of fertilization, without fertilization. That is the eggs laid that were not fertilized. They're still harsh. It's common among these bees and termites. You people have done metamorphosis, isn't it? Yes. Huh? You know, during that process, we know the male in insects, as it were. Mating might not come, or fertilization of the egg might not come immediately. Because most of the time, in most insects, most of those insects, the eggs might not have been mature before mating with the opposite sex, the male. But what they did is, when the sperm is being introduced, they have what we call sperm sac in the part of the female. So they'll store the sperm that is being introduced into the female in the sperm sac, and it will stay there. So immediately the male, I remember that they still have oviducts. I know that fertilization occurs in the oviducts. Do we still remember that? Yes. So immediately the egg is laid by the ovaries. So on swimming towards the oviducts, because the egg sac is being built along the roots leading to the oviducts. It's just like between the ovary and the oviducts. They don't have womb like. I hope you understand what I'm saying. The drones sting. Worker bees, some of them stings. They have a stinging cells that they use to stung their enemies.
Okay, is it true that after it stings, it dies?
Some of them, yes. Anyone that stings dies.
And the second one is, which sting is more painful, a wax or a bee?
All of them are painful. All of them are painful, but I feel the bees might be more painful. Because you know the bees, when they stung, that stinging cell that they used will live on the body of the enemy. Most of the time, if you're being stung, they will start looking for it, like a pin, to remove it, or else it will start swallowing.
But man, wax have venom.
Wasps have what?
Venom.
Is their venom as that of, all of them have, it's a cell. Have you been stung? You have not been stung by one. I seem to have been stung by one. One of bees. I've been stung by bees. One. And stung, if there are so many of them that attach, it can lead to death. I'm talking about bees. I've seen somebody, I've read about somebody that the bee stung to death. A lot of them just got that, like they didn't even see space. Have you seen people that farm bees? Oh. You wear what is it that to protect you from head to toe, so that you not. You see, I've seen somebody that been stung from on top of palm tree. They want to collect palm wine. It was just God that saved it, but not even one, not even two. I noticed that you see bees around palm wine. If you're going home now, around that Ecobo, there are people selling palm wine there. You see a lot of bees on the ground. You see it right around there. I don't know why, whether they are drinking palm wine. Yes? Can you?
Can we have more than one week?
One? Yes, you have. They are not like termites. That's one of the major difference. You can have more than one queen, and those ones fly. You know that the queen termite does not have wings. They are just there, and there must be only one in a territory with a big, long, segmented abdomen. No, I don't understand.
Speak like that.
Not the queen that will die. Normally, everything dies. Everything have expiring, what do I call it? Lifespan. They are not only one. They are not only one. And you know they do nipple fly too. They do. In that hive, it's not only one. We are not told that there is only one queen in a hive. No. There might be many in a hive. But you have more workers. Because workers don't most of you have more workers in the hives than the drones and the queens. And you can imagine where you have workers. You have the old one, you have the young ones. And the young ones are doing house chores, household chores. And the big ones are going on, the adult ones are going on to forage and look for food for the hives. Okay? Any other question? I promise that I will talk about practical thinking it will be tomorrow. But my secret, our next topic is evolution. That's what we have started during this period. How many more minutes do we have? 20 minutes. Somebody said 10 minutes. Somebody said 20 minutes. Okay, let me just use that 20. Now, when we talk about biology practicals, when we talk about biology practicals, you can just give me your ear. If there's anything you feel you need to join, but please pay attention because now the major thing you start practicing it in your notes. Because when it comes to biology diagrams in terms of marking, if you're asked to draw a diagram in a theory question, the method used in marking that diagram is the same thing that will be used for practical. But one major thing, we have two major types of practical. The first one is the one you do mostly when you're writing GC, which is called private. And that one we term it alternative to practical or test of practical. Either we'll call it alternative to practical or test of practical. Then the one we do, which is the one we are preparing now, that coming up May, June, is the one we have as the full normal practical, whereby you'll be given a live specimen. Those of you talking there, please, I should be the only one talking now. That is why we'll be given live specimen to be used. But for that alternative to practical, they will give a specimen, but that's the specimen already drawn. And you answer the question. But the normal practical that comes up in June is the last one that you'll be looking at it and be answering the questions as they were given. Now, in following biology drawings, the rules guiding biology drawings, although for a start you'll be expected to have your HB pencil, you have your ruler, you have your sharpener or razor, then you need to have your eraser, good one. The eraser that when you clean, it won't leave any stain. There are some erasers when you clean the pencil, it will turn it black. I hope you understand what I'm saying. These days, they give a space. If it's during our own days, they'll give you an answer script that is plain on what you're going to draw. But this time, they'll just ask you the question and give you a space on what you're going to draw. Now, coming to the diagram, as it were, it might be a question that said, you're provided with a specimen, and these specimens are represented with alphabets. The object that they give you is what we call specimen. The one that they drew on the question paper is also called specimen. But those ones, they might use Roman figure, or they might still use alphabets to represent them, depending on what it is. Now, when it comes to biology diagrams, for instance, let's assume that what I have here is a specimen A, and that specimen A, let me call it cockroach. One funny thing that most of the time it looks as if the sciences, you know something too much. That's already igbono in terms of highly intelligence. The things that help people so much is the practical. Because when it comes to practicals, things you see, that's depending on the subject. For biology, you might see it when you calculate the whole question there. It's about 80 questions in terms of marks, but it is 40. The theory and objective shares the 60. Depending on the performance of the students, they might decide to, one or the other, go to your CA. Now that they send your cumulative, continuous assessment, your SS1, your SS2, and the SS3. And the SS3 on, as of now, is your first time exam. Initially, in our own time, is during the Mope. But because of the registration, probably you must have seen yours when you're doing your thumb printing. Did they bring out your scores? Your SS1, you have not gotten to that. You have not done the final one. You're supposed to see your scores in SS1 and confirm. You didn't see that? You didn't check to know whether it's what is your scores that is there. That's okay, that's okay. Now, as it were, like I said, in the specimen that you are given. Now, when it comes to physics, I know you know, I'm not a physicist, but I know in terms of practical physics, it's 50 score, 50%, 50 marks. They don't remove, they don't add. The theory and objective shares the remaining 50. Depending on performance, if it is too bad, you might go back to your CA and see what you can add from there. Then chemistry, as it were. I think that one is a little bit lower than the biology as well. Yes, you said who? Because when they want to pay, they pay more for physics, especially the practical. Please pay attention to your physics practical. I have the privilege of saying this because I have a physician who is even doing it to PhD, or who have done it to PhD, and he's also an examiner. Don't say the right thing. I said, I should start from physics. Or if you cannot answer. I must have told you things about physics, practical. That's not about physics practical. So let's go back to my one. So that practical helps people a lot to push your scores. If you're able to do well in practicals, at least gather the others, you do very well. So let's go back to biology. Don't even this sort of form. I said this is a specimen. We are using this as a specimen, and let's assume it's cockroach. And we're calling it specimen A. And you are asked to draw a diagram of specimen A. And you are given a proportion of what you're going to draw. Listen, because this is where wahala is. You are given a proportion of what to do. Then I say using the length of 8 to 10 cm. Make a well-labeled diagram showing the dorsal view of specimen A. Besides, the question would have been identify specimen A. There are other questions that would have been following it. I am just talking about the diagram now. Identify specimen A. where can it be located? You mentioned adaptive feature. And when they ask you, we'll still get to that. When they ask you for adaptive feature, list the adaptive feature of specimen A. In that case, you are expected to list the feature and the function of that feature. I repeat myself. This is specimen A. The first question is identify specimen A. List the location, or where can specimen A be found? You mentioned that. Name the phylum of specimen A and the class of specimen A. You mentioned that. List the economic importance of specimen A. You write that. I'm just using this. These are likely questions. Now get to the diagram. Using the length of 8 to 10 cm, make a well-labeled diagram of specimen A, showing the dorsal view. Now, all of us know cockroach, isn't it? If I try to make a sketch diagram, now this is my dorsal view. I did not show the second because they might ask me to spread out one of the wings. I just drew this so that we're able to see the diagram. Now, remember I said your ruler must be there. The first thing you will do, I know in some of your school they must have, some of you they'll have, when they said 8 to 10 cm, they'll ask you to measure 10 here and measure 8 here. And you draw square. I know there are some schools and lessons you attend that they tell you that, please, it's wrong. Now what it means is that, anybody with a ruler here? Okay, we'll not, God bless you, let me use that. It says 8 to 10 cm. Then I'll come to my ruler, to my book, where they left that space. So this is my zero. I have ones. This is 8. This is 8 and this is 10. So I have measured it. I need to leave this. So let's assume this is this thing here. Here is 8 and this is 10. What it means is that my diagram must not be less than 8 and must not be more than 10. I cannot say I have put dots here to show this and this, and I will now draw one nonsense small thing here. So this means is that your diagram must get here and must not be more than this. Don't forget, there are things that are requested when you're drawing your diagrams. This is, proportion is settled. When marking, I call it dash. They'll look for TL. What does TL stand for? Oh, you already know this. Then you have S, Z, or M, G. Now, in terms of practical, this is what is requested more. If it is for theory and the diagram you're asked to draw, this is what the examiner will use. This thing I'm doing here is not meant for you, but that is what the examiner will use to mark and what we are looking forward for. Then we'll now have NL. This NL stands for neatness of line. Neatness of line. I will tell you what neatness of line is. Then the next one is clarity. Clarity of lines. Then the next thing we'll have is DL. This DL stands for details. Now these details we are talking about, it is not the same thing in all diagrams. When you are asked to draw this, there are a lot of things that they will look for. Maybe 2 or 3 marks, 3 things that they are looking out for from your diagram if it is shown. So that thing, if it is antenna, I might use TL for this. If it is the segmented body, it could be X, then we'll have this. That is drawing, and then the leveling. This is what the examiner will do beside the diagram to mark and check. So we'll look out for this before I put the leveling. Now let's assume this thing now is 10 marks. The diagram alone might decide to take 7 marks. And the 3 marks will be for the leveling. And they might say any 6 times half. It can equally be 2 marks. The other marks go to the diagram. In that case, once you're given, you deduce your title from the question. You must write the title. That title is 1 mark. You start from maybe above where you have your first dot. This is a title. The diagram showing the dorsal view of specimen A. You deduce your title from the diagram. Then the next thing is the size. You've already done it, following the proportion. If the proportion well measured, examiner must have a ruler to measure what you have used. And if it is correct, it's a tick, both in the practicals and in the theory. But still, one thing is expected here. In terms of this, I know that magnification is object over image. So you're not talking about the object, the length and the width of the object over the length or width of the image. In that case, I will pick my cockroach and use my ruler to measure it. I might likely get 5, depending on the size of the cockroach. I might likely get 4, depending on the size of the cockroach. In that case, you divide 10 by 5. What do you have? 2. At the end here, you now write, you will write it. MG times 2. It might be 1, it can be half, it can be 0.5, depending, but you must write it. On measuring and seeing this is a tick. That is 1 mark for you. That's why I call it dash. Now, coming to this, in terms of neatness of line, when you're leveling, you must do your leveling with ruler. And your ruler must touch the point that you're leveling. For instance, this is my cockroach. Either you level horizontally on both sides, but most times you can level one side horizontally. Most times you might be advised to level horizontally. Not that you cannot level vertically. That will depend on you. So long as it is still maintaining the proportion that you were given in drawing. Am I communicating? Yes. Are you sure I'm communicating? Yes. As a person then, even till now, from entering back, I like answering questions with diagram. Because once the question is there, diagram carries majority of the marks. The others might be having 1, 2, or 3. Then I am leveling this. This is my antenna. You don't say that Miss Anya did not use ruler when she was drawing. I don't like people chewing in my class. They won't say that Miss Anya is using ruler. Use hand. So you can use hand. Even if your hand is so straight, we will know that you use hand. Then your lines of leveling must end at the point. And it must touch where you are leveling. So let me bring out my lines of leveling. Who knows this now? Put in here. God bless you. Who said that? Thank you. What's the function of this miracle? I think they all stop at a place. I will not be penalized if I still draw my lines of leveling here. They are horizontally. Now, if you draw your diagram with pencil, you level with pencil. If you draw your diagram with biro, you level with biro. If you have drawn with biro and draw well and level well, I bet you'll be giving you a full mark and marked if you got it. But why it is not advisable to draw with biro and level with biro? Because if there is a mistake, you can't clean it. So it's always advisable to draw your diagrams with pencil. You don't draw with pencil and level with biro. It is wrong. Then your levelings. The space between your leveling and the point your level must not exceed a dot. For instance, this is thorax. I cannot put my line here and I'll start thorax here. Or start my T from here. You're leveling this space. So your lines of leveling and the points of leveling must not exceed a dot. And again, it is more advisable to label with capital letter. If you label with small letter, it will be marked for you. But why it is being, you are advised to label with capital letter? Because some of us, our writings normally change shape. Some A normally look like O. Some E normally have, some will develop leg, some have. But capital letter is capital letter. An examiner will see it well. Am I communicating? Yes. So most times, if you are advised to label with capital letter so that the examiner can see it well. I repeat myself. Your letter, first letter of labeling must not exceed this. And let's assume, probably is a long letter that is in terms of the labeling, and you're already at the edge. Now, another advice. This is your 0, 8. Please draw your diagram nearer so that you have enough space to label. Assuming that the space you have here is not enough, and you want to complete it under, that letter must not fall under the line. It has to be somewhere here. The examiner will mark it for you. It's an easy thing. Then another thing, your line of labeling must not cross each other. Here it is easy because you have enough space. There are diagrams you might be asked to draw. The internal structure of a dicotyledonous stem. You know it has a lot of labeling. Do you remember the diagram?
Yes.
You remember the diagram?
Yes.
Internal structure of a dicot stem. I'm sure we will not finish this today. Is it time?
Yes, ma'am.
I would have loved to stop because I'm supposed to be somewhere by 6.
Yes.
Okay. Let's just say that we just stopped here. We will still talk more because there's a lot to discuss here.